Welcome to Episode 4, The Big Lie, How Good Numbers Hide Bad News, a Paradox and Opera exclusive. You'll find out to the quiet betrayal of data, how clarity becomes confusion and truth folds into paradox. Imagine this. A confident CEO stands before a glowing screen. 2 bars rise: New York, 80%. Chicago, 75%. A green checkmark flares, confetti rains, applause follows. The numbers speak. New York wins. The decision feels clean, modern, data-driven. This is the promise of numbers. Neat, rational, absolute. But then, a record scratch. The music stops. The image freezes, drained of color. What if that decision, the one that felt so certain, was completely wrong? What if the truth hid behind the very numbers meant to reveal it? This is the paradox of clarity, where numbers shine so brightly. They blind us. When the chart splits apart, a new picture emerges. Small business clients and enterprise clients. Chicago scores higher with the small ones, 90% versus New York's 85%, and higher again with the giants, 70% versus New York's 60%. Chicago wins in every way, and yet overall they lose. How can the truth reverse like that? This is not a mistake. It is a paradox, Simpson's paradox, a phenomenon where every piece of the puzzle tells one story, but the complete picture tells its opposite. The truth folds in on itself, like light bending through water. The hidden hand here? The mix of clients. New York serves mostly easy ones, Chicago mostly hard ones. The difficulty itself tilts the whole table. The numbers are true, but the meaning is false. The year was 1973. At UC Berkeley, an accusation of injustice rippled through the halls. Men, 44% admitted. Women, 35%. It looked like biased mathematical proof of discrimination. But when researchers split the data, the truth turned upside down. Department by department, women actually had higher acceptance rates in 4 of the 6 largest programs. The hidden factor? Choice itself. Women applied in greater numbers to the most competitive, oversubscribed fields. English, humanities, dreams packed tighter than available space. Men applied more often to departments with easier odds. Engineering, science, open doors waiting. The bias wasn't in the admissions office. It was in society, in the paths young people were told they could walk. The numbers were never lying. They were just echoing the world's deeper inequalities. Now imagine you are a doctor. 2 treatments for kidney stones. Treatment A, invasive, old-fashioned surgery. Treatment B, a sleek, modern, less painful method. Overall data says, treatment A succeeds 78% of the time. Treatment B, 83%. Clear answer: B wins. But the truth once again lies hidden. For small stones, treatment A succeeds 93%. Treatment B, 87%. For large stones, treatment A succeeds 73%. Treatment B, 69%. A is better in both cases. And yet overall, it looks worse. Why? Because doctors already knew. They chose A for the hardest, most desperate cases, and B for the easy ones. The illusion of inferiority was born from wisdom itself. Simpson's paradox, when truth hides in plain sight, and good numbers whisper bad news. Even in play, it returns. In the mid-1990s, David Justice outperformed Derek Jeter in both individual seasons. But when their stats were combined, Jeter's average rose above Justice's. The hidden factor? Opportunity. At-bats, volume itself twisted the meaning. In the fragments of time, Justice shone brighter. But in the long run, Jeter endured. We live in an age that worships simplicity. We crave one number, one chart, one headline that makes sense of the chaos. But every act of simplification is also an act of erasure. To make a story clean, we first must remove its dirt. And in that cleansing, we often wash away its truth. An average feels comforting. It's tidy, it's rational. It promises certainty in a world that rarely offers any. But averages can lie, not because the math is wrong, but because meaning has been amputated from context. A number without its why is a mask. And Simpson's paradox reminds us just how seductive that mask can be. When we combine different groups into one, the balance of power shifts silently beneath the surface. The mix changes, the weights move, and suddenly the truth points in the opposite direction. It's not deception by intent, it's deception by omission. The data isn't broken, the lens is. Every chart, every report, every bold percentage is a mirror, but it only reflects the angle you choose to stand from. Change the angle and the truth changes with it. So the real art of analysis is not in reading numbers, but in questioning them. Not in how confidently we interpret, but in how humbly we doubt. The mature thinker doesn't ask, "Is this true?" They ask, "True for whom? True under what condition? True compared to what?" Because wisdom begins not where answers appear, but where assumptions start to break. Simpson's paradox isn't just a mathematical riddle. It's a mirror held up to the way humans perceive the world. We see patterns where none exist. We simplify because we must. Our minds are not built to hold infinite context. But in that simplification, we lose sight of nuance. And nuance is where truth quietly lives. The paradox tells us that the world resists summary. You cannot compress reality into a single metric without twisting its meaning. You cannot understand performance without knowing the conditions that shaped it. You cannot measure fairness without first seeing what's hidden beneath the average. This is not just about data. It's about how we see each other. How often do we mistake a person's surface, their score, their title, their label, for the whole of who they are? How often do we reduce a life to its summary, a grade, a salary, a success rate, and miss the impossible complexity beneath? Simpson's paradox whispers that the world is richer than we think, that sometimes what seems weak is actually strong, that what looks like failure hides quiet excellence, that what appears fair may, in truth, be deeply unbalanced. The paradox is not a trick of math. It's a reflection of reality itself, a reminder that truth, like light, changes with the angle of observation. In every paradox, there's a lesson about humility. The numbers never lie, but they don't speak the whole language of truth. They are fragments, beautiful, precise, and incomplete. The human mind seeks answers, but wisdom seeks questions. The question, "What am I not seeing?" is more powerful than any statistic. It's the antidote to illusion. It's the light that reveals the hidden factor in every story. Look at business, where success may hide struggle. Look at medicine, where data can mislead life itself. Look at history, where progress for one group may mean loss for another. In every field, the same rule holds. Context changes everything. So when you hear a confident number, pause. When you see a perfect average, doubt. When the truth feels too clean, look again. Because truth, like reality, is layered. It bends, it hides, and it reveals itself only to those patient enough to ask the second question. This has been Episode 4, The Big Lie, How Good Numbers Hide Bad News. Exclusive on Paradox and Opera. If you've listened closely, you've learned not just about statistics, but about perception itself. Remember, numbers describe the world, but they do not define it. To see the whole truth, you must look where the numbers stop and the story begins.